Well, thank you, everyone. This is now our third podcast here at Stealth Products. Really excited, and thank you for subscribing and watching these. We've really enjoyed the previous guests that we've had, and I'm really excited about today's guest. I've known JD now for a few years, and I'm really excited for you guys to get to know him and talk a little bit about his experiences, his journey through this industry. I find that quite amazing more than anything, more than talking about products, is really how people have gained their experience through this through their lives and through the journey that they've had in the industry. One thing that I know personally, I know JD's abilities when it comes to discussing the topic that we're going to have today on cushions, and I've seen that in live. I've seen it in person, and so I'm really looking forward to having that discussion with him and just seeing what he thinks about the current state and where we're headed on certain things too. So without any more delay, let's bring in JD here. JD, how have you been?
Oh, thank you, Gabe. I'm been doing great. I appreciate the invite, and excited to talk about Stealth, excited to talk about cushions, and a good free flow conversation here.
Yeah, absolutely, JD. Well, like I mentioned before, I didn't know you before Stealth Products, before you came on board with Stealth Products as a regional manager. One thing that I really appreciated is that you've had experience in managing, of course, sales team members, but before that, you were really hands-on when it came to development of seating and positioning components. And if you don't mind kind of taking us down the journey of your experiences and kind of what you've known and what you've seen through the years, because I mean, some of the topics that we were talking about at times, I mean, you were literally going to hardware stores, you were doing stuff like that, and I think that that's quite amazing, and I love hearing that, because I've also been in those situations before in the past where something just wasn't fitting right, and almost like our conversation previously with Ryan, and you have to kind of take measures, take things into your own hands, and I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about how you started and what year you started in the industry and in what capacity.
Yeah, thanks, Gabe. Started in 1994, got done with college, moved out west to Denver, and started with a what we refer to as a mom and pop shop, so a small complex rehab provider in Denver called Rocky Mountain Medical. Was able to kind of learn from the ground up there, so I'm very appreciative to those folks. But back then there wasn't really a ton of, I'll say, seating options. There were some things on the market, but we had an orthotist on staff, a prosthetist on staff. We literally made our own seating, custom and planar, and that's kind of how I learned. I was just exposed to it kind of from the ground up, different types of foam, different materials. Even the old kind of plywood-based custom seating stuff. That's not something I think in my wildest thoughts, sewing custom backs wasn't in my wheelhouse in college, but it's something I certainly had to learn. And you brought up hardware and just different things. There wasn't a ton of options back then. We kind of fabricated everything, so we had a good fabrication facility where we could pretty much manufacture what we needed to make things work. It wasn't always pretty, but it sure solved a problem that we needed to solve. So that was my start. And, like I said, I'm definitely appreciative because that's not done anymore. Nobody does it that way. And, I'm certainly one of the dinosaurs as far as this business goes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think experience is probably a better way of describing it. But I think now you're with your responsibility here and role in Stealth, you've probably been very excited to see some of the machine and the fact that we have seamstresses and people that can actually do that type of stuff. I guess you're at the same era, because that's changed now. Sounds like, at least with kids these days. But we used to have a home ec, and they would teach you how to sew a little bit, but they never probably taught you how to sew that type of sewing.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I think I could sew on a button, but
Yeah, that's what they are.
a chest strap or shoulder harnesses was a whole new kind of learning curve, and again, it wasn't in the farthest reaches of my thought. That wasn't going to be what I was supposed to be doing. But hey, you had to learn it, figure it out, and move forward.
Yeah, that's awesome. The experience is what matters that you gained. Well, since you've been here at Still Products, I know you're aware of Still Products through the years, and saw experiences, saw us at trade shows. One thing that I've noticed in particular is you mentioned about hardware, and you mentioned about some of the versatility and innovations that we come up with. And as we segue into cushions and talking a little bit about that, I think that there's some technologies that really separate us from some of the other manufacturers in the industry. And one of them, I know you're a fan of it. I know we enjoy wearing our Cool Core type of shirts or technology. There you go. He has it on. And so I don't know I don't know how much. I know personally, as far as the experience that I've had with it and how it's been used, and how people have commented on it, how they feel different. It feels different. But what are some of the experiences that you've had with that type of technology, Cool Core?
Yeah, it's just kind of going into Cool Core and that material and why it's so nice. One, it's a wicking material, but it's wicking unlike other fabrics. People think about wicking, they think about the dry fit, the Under Armour, and those things are great. But when they wick the moisture away, they're kind of localized, so that moisture stays in one place. I think anybody that has kids playing sports, you can see that in some of the football, soccer, and various apparel out there. But what's unique about Cool Core is that moisture is pulled throughout the whole surface of the cushion in an effort to kind of bring that moisture away from skin contact and evaporate. So, of course, we know evaporation has a little bit of a cooling effect, which is fantastic. But for our purposes, it's important because anything moisture, heat around the skin are kind of detrimental. We get concerned about that for disabled folks. We know that it causes skin irritation, rash, breakdown, and that's where Cool Core really shines. It does a fantastic job as far as the climate around the skin.
Yeah, and that's great points that you bring up there. One thing that I noticed, and just from some of the usage of it, we talked about some of the apparel usage of it, and talk a little bit about some of the benefits that maybe some clients could also benefit from the temperature control. Because for me, I've had it when it's been cold on, and it's felt like it's kept me warm, like it recognizes my body. And I've had it to where it's been, of course, hot, and I could really feel it like open up and allow air to pass through. I've noticed these things, oddly enough, just in wearing a golf shirt with 30-degree weather, and being able to say, hey, this is odd compared to some other clothing. But I know you talked a little bit about the moisture, which is critical when you look at pressure management. You look at all the points that you brought up on that. But when it looks at some of that temperature, I'm always seeing quads, and they have blankets on. They have different types of things on, because at the end of the day, circulation is going to cause your body temperature to also fluctuate. I don't know if you can talk a little bit about some of your experiences, even personal experiences with wearing that apparel. But what have you seen with that type of technology when it comes to that?
Yeah, Gabe, it's an excellent point that you brought up there, and it's that temperature management. And for me, wearing it as I have this shirt on now, it's comfortable. It flexes. That's fantastic. Whether you're an able-bodied person or you're in a cushion with this material, it's going to ebb and flow with you which is crazy helpful. But maintaining that temperature is key. Not such a problem for us able-bodied folks, but certainly there's plenty of folks out there that have diminished function or decreased function because of these wide temperature swings. So if we can avoid that and have a good core temperature, maintain that, that's where it really shines and helps folks out.
Yeah, absolutely. So a little bit about our cushions. I know we started with something that I was pretty proud of, that the technology of CoolCore, but there's a lot of things that we actually offer that are unique and different. With your experience, and of course, from an ATP standpoint, ordering from other manufacturers, also to managing a sales team and doing education as you've done before. For us, what do you see that really separates us when it comes to the processing of ordering a cushion, or the actual series breakdowns that we have? If you kind of take us on that journey of ordering a cushion from Stealth Products.
Yeah, Gabe. So we have a ton of variety, from your very basic use, general use is what we would call it, up to even custom seating. So we know that anybody who medically qualifies for a chair qualifies for a cushion, and that would kind of start out with our Simplicity cushion. Then, provided there was the medical diagnosis that they meet, they could move up to skin protection, or skin protection and positioning, or just positioning, and then up to custom. So the great thing about that, at least our process for cushions, is one, we're making those fairly quickly for folks and getting them out. That's important. We know that folks need to get those cushions and get them under people, because that's what they're designed to do. And the other component is we're able to kind of vary that based on the client or the situation, meaning that in some of the higher end cushions, people can adjust the layering, people can pick what types of foam, people can pick what type of pressure management as far as the medium goes. And on some of the fabricated cushions that we do, there's an option on the top layer to kind of vary that. They can pick a visco if we have somebody who's super sensate, or what we might refer to as Princess and the Pea, or we could use an FRG type foam, a Sunmate foam, that offers a bit more support and stability for those folks. So that's the great thing about it, is whether you're in a basic chair, a transport chair, we've got a cushion for you. And as you move up into multiple power systems for power chairs and manual chairs, we've got a good solution for your needs.
Yeah, good overall view of our cushion line. Something that I know I would say you're an expert in. You've been through the process of the development here at Stealth Products, and you brought up a little bit about it, was the customization. And the fact that we have a online quote generator, and you're able to start your builds and all that. I don't know if you can. What I'd like to do, JD, I don't want to get too far into that, because I think that would be a great another podcast to talk a little bit about some of the benefits that brings to an ATP. But if you can describe it a little bit, at least what you've seen when it comes to the custom side of building something, to be able to see that, to be able to put your measurements, do all that in there.
Yeah, it's really very ultra efficient from a spec standpoint, from an ATP standpoint. Is I think about, everybody asks about order forms, right? And when I think about I'll say high-end clients or neuro clients with a power chair, you can look at those order forms and we're upwards of 50 pages. And back in the old days, when we used to fax those in, we just kind of put a big X through all the pages that we really weren't relevant. And really, we've made it ultra efficient in that. And the reason I bring that up, and relative to power chairs, is, you think about all the options that don't really apply to the client that's in front of you. So in our case, I really only want to provide you options that are pertinent. So if you're looking for a back or a cushion and maybe a pelvic belt, and that's where you start from, then let's not show you shoe holder options, and let's not show you, chest harness options. Let's not show you these things that you got to kind of cycle through. So we've really refined that process and made it ultra smooth for the ATPs to kind of cycle through and pick. And you brought up, customizations, whether it's, backs or cushions, and certainly that's all stuff that we do. There's common things that we see out in the field. There's leg length discrepancies. There's, contracture cuts. So if someone has a knee contracture, or perhaps even, heck, we got a really low seat to floor height and that client foot propels and we need to cut that cushion back. That's all stuff that we do in-house. And it makes sense from a complex manufacturer to customize it for the clients.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good. Yeah, great examples there of that. And you were mentioning some of this, the usage, some of the clinical usage, practical benefits of that. I don't know if you can kind of dive a little bit more into that within our cushions. I know you gave a really nice overview of the cushion, but if there's anything else that kind of comes out with some of the benefits that we have and what we're offering in our technologies, that'd be great to take a little bit of time to do that.
Yeah, so we offer, as I said before, kind of a wide variety of cushions. So as I said, starting with the very basic, if you qualify, that's the Simplicity, which is a foam base to help for somebody that's in a chair. And then as you progress, the next option moves you into a couple different cushion options, the Zen or the Glacial, and both of those cushions are skin protection cushions. So keep in mind that when you are looking for a cushion, you have to qualify for it based on diagnosis. That's all done with physicians and PTs. But for, from our perspective, from the manufacturer perspective, I'll just give you kind of the differences. But in those two cushions that we offer, the Glacial and the Zen, the Glacial has a foam base. It's actually the same foam base as the Simplicity, but we've added a gel component to it across the whole surface of the cushion, which helps with that skin protection. And it really, folks say even with the cool core on top of that and that gel component, it really is a nice kind of a cooling effect for people. And then in the case of the Zen cushion, we don't have the gel on top of it. We have a foam topper that provides a little bit more height, a little bit more stability as far as the skin protection. So again, just depends on the client why you may opt for one or the other. Moving up in the cushion categories, the next would be the positioning, and that's the Premier. And I got to tell you, this is certainly one of my favorite cushions, and I know some of our other folks love it as well. And that's because the Premier has a foam base, but it's got, I guess what I would call, it's a bit denser foam that's kind of molded into it. So the premise behind it is we're going to kind of capture that pelvic area, greater trochanter, kind of raise it up, let the ITs have a little bit of relief. And I'll tell you what, sitting on that cushion, it's fantastic. And just from a design standpoint, that cushion, when we designed it and put it out for testing, it actually tested better than the category it's in, which is, amazing. That's simply awesome. Didn't have a cushion in that category. So we kind of said, well, we got to have something here. So the Premier fell in that positioning category. And then really the biggest is our SPP, and we have a variety of cushions in that skin protection and positioning. So again, that's kind of a step up from the positioning. But we have the Solution, we have the Spectrum, we have the Essence, we have the True Comfort 2. We have a kind of a variety of cushions to kind of fill that niche. And it's probably, I think from our perspective, we see more of those out in the field. But just kind of a little bit of breakdown between the different systems. The solution, certainly one of my favorite cushions. It's comfortable. It's a foam base, has a gel insert in the pelvic well, and has a visco topper standard, or you could get the FRG topper. But what's great about that cushion is the gel in particular. It's a very viscous gel, so it allows a lot of movement for the clients. So very active clients who, I'll use the example, they're in a manual chair. There's a lot of IT movement with propulsion. They're shifting around. We want to allow that, right? We don't want to have any stoppage as far as their movement, and that cushion really allows a lot of activity for those clients. The Spectrum, similar foam base, different gel pack, and then you have your foam topper that you choose. But that gel is an ultra lightweight gel. So different clientele from my perspective. It's great for those folks that you put in there. Maybe they're in multiple power. They're not as active and they're not moving around as much, but certainly we want to protect that pelvic well, those ITs, and make sure we have good pressure management. That cushion does a great job for those folks. The next is True Comfort 2. That's simply a foam cushion, foam base with a visco topper. Anybody who sat on that cushion loves that cushion. The contour is fantastic. It's by far one of our biggest selected cushions. Really, really nice from a positioning standpoint because it has good contouring. So adduction, abduction, a little bit of a what I would call anti-thrust, but a little bit of a bend in the cushion in the back to keep someone back in that pelvic well, so seated properly. But man, it's a fantastic cushion. And then lastly is the Essence, which I would call kind of a True Comfort 2 Light. Nice foam base, not quite as thick as that cushion, but certainly comfortable. And the great thing about that Essence cushion is it allows you, with this plastic base, to account for pelvic obliquity. So if you have someone with an obliquity, meaning one side of their pelvis is going to be higher or lower than the other side, we're able to add foam inserts into those areas to accommodate that seating for the client. So it really is a great cushion from that perspective. And then that takes us into some of the custom, which again is going to be very, very client specific, pediatric adults, and that's probably a whole.
Yeah, that's a whole lot of the podcast for sure. No, thank you for breaking that down, JD. And I think the point in this is that what's critical, and I know you have done plenty of in-services and more specific ones. You've got a webinar that's coming out here very soon on hardware and joystick positionings and things you can do. What excites you about stealth? Because you come from that world where you're just customizing stuff. And I think that there's something unique or an empowerment that you have when you walk into a clinic and you know you have a solution. I've worked with you, I call it the Saturday night fever. That John Travolta music starts to play as you're walking into the clinic because you have confidence in what you have. Your stuff. I think, you're talking about cushions. I felt that when you presented the first time I saw you do a presentation on this, and you talked, and you're very well spoken when it came to clients, examples that they were giving. But the accessories that go, like one thing I want to ask you is that there's some accessories that we do for covers and pouches and stuff like that, handles that it'd be great for you to go into, because I think they're unique, they're important, they're common. But then talk about some of the supports that we do, thigh guides, knee adductors, some stuff that we've done that's been pretty unique that really highlights that whole core principle of what's needed for the positioning there in that pelvis area.
Yeah, Gabe. So I think you kind of hit on it, and it's coming up with solutions. And I'll certainly say, that's one of the things that Stealth kind of hangs their hat on is, hey, we're a solutions company. Come at us with these unique seating things that you have, and we can help you solve that problem. So we have that with belts. We have that with pelvic thigh supports. Maybe you have a client that we need to get that pad in, 2 or 3 inches on one side, but we need to keep it flush on the other side. Boy, do we have hardware and a way to solve that problem for you. Maybe it's something unique that, let's say we have a thigh, hip flexion. Maybe we have a situation where we just need to manage a thigh with hip flexion. We have a way to we've done some of that on the custom side with pads and things to help. But really, we kind of come at it, as I said, my background was just, hey, there wasn't something out there, go build it. So when I see these things, in my head, I can already start sorting out what pieces and parts we can kind of put together to make this situation work. And that's certainly something we do at Stealth is, we're looking at ways to solve those problems, whether it's joysticks, or in this case, we're talking about, the pelvis. We can find a way to kind of put something together to solve that dilemma that you're seeing with the client.
Yeah, it's quite exciting. I think that a lot of the times those challenges for looking for solutions have to be difficult for manufacturers if they don't have a wide variety of solutions. What makes us very unique is at Stealth Products is that we do have that wide variety, and I think that you pointed out just some of those things, and of course the whole gamut of it is building a system or coming in as a solution to help someone out. So I think those type of factors are really important. Honestly, this could be another couple of hours easily just on the type of topics that we're talking about, not even going into clinical or more detailed stuff. But a couple of things before we end. We mentioned Cool Core. It's kind of being a flagship type of technology that we offer on our cushions. But there's a lot of other covers that we do. There's a lot of other things that we do when it comes to that and offerings that we offer. What have you experienced, and what do you see some of the benefits of some of the other cover offerings that we have for our cushions?
Hey, Gabe, that's a great question. Cool Core certainly is a great material, but it's best that we offer other options for folks. One of those options is Stealth Tech. That's a material proprietary to us, and it's a kind of a waterproof wipe-off contact surface, so that if somebody spills, if there's an accident, then we can kind of wipe that off the top of the surface of the cushion, and that's extremely helpful. Good wear and tear. Those folks that are active, or maybe they need that material to kind of help hold them because they need that for positioning. They don't want the Cool Core because it does have that ebb and flow. Then that Stealth Tech is a great option for them as a cover. And the other is mesh. Mesh is something that's been used in the industry for a while. It has great airflow. It's just crazy durable. I've seen those cushion covers last for quite some time, and we offer that too. So really, if you're looking at a cushion, we want to provide you those 3 cover options: the Cool Core, the Stealth Tech, and the mesh. And Gabe, not even just the cover options, but some folks we know have incontinence issues, and when you have foam cushions, that's always a concern. But we have a couple of incontinence liners that are options for our providers and for the people using the cushions. The first one is a urethane liner. That's kind of a standard two-way stretch, but again, the idea is to kind of protect the foam in the cushion. And then there's an upgraded option, which is the polyurethane, and that material has a good four-way stretch, kind of similar to our Cool Core, but really allows for the client to kind of immerse into the cushion and use the foam or the gel or whatever the medium is to its full extent. So really, we've got those cover and incontinence options for all our cushions, and whatever is whatever the client needs. I think we've got them covered.
Yeah, well said, JD. I appreciate that. And again, this is all part of the process of building the cushion, or also just speccing out even some standard off-the-shelf type of cushion. So I appreciate you mentioning that. And I really think that that's important for people to understand some of the benefits, especially of the liners that we offer, and how they can be used. If you're washing a cover, to still have some good ability to have them be able to sit on their cushion while they're waiting, and for that. So I think that that's very important. So JD, again, we've had a really good conversation when it comes to the cushions that we offer. Just take us on a little bit of a recap, any highlights that you kind of see or you think of what we've talked about. I know we've gone through quite a bit of stuff, but in closing here, what do you feel, about, the Stealth cushion line, but also what we've talked about today?
Yeah. So, sorry for that. I think from my perspective, we've got a ton of offerings dependent upon, what the client needs. We're covering from very basic to more involved, and really a ton of stuff in between. It's important as far as cushions. You think about cushions, it's almost like a clothes, right? It's very important for folks, and to be able to customize that, because what may be a good cushion for me may not be a good cushion for you, Gabe. And so it's important to make sure that we opt for the right one and we're able to customize that for them. Everybody's different, so we want to cater it to what the situation is. But the other thing is, we as a company are constantly evolving. So we're looking at new technologies, like this Cool Core that we've talked about. We're looking at different materials, and we're constantly evolving and asking questions. How can we make this particular item better? So from that perspective, we're looking at the future. We're looking to meet the needs of clients, not just for today or right now, but hey, 5-10 years down the road. And we're constantly developing.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate that, JD. I appreciate the time you gave us today. I really look forward to future discussions too. I think even during this process, we kind of put some mental notes of some future ones that we could start talking about. Of course, we talked about the custom seating as being its own podcast in the future, but also I really believe some of the accessories that we make, positioning accessories, just change the game, and so I look forward to bringing you in some of those future podcasts too. But I thank you, JD, and appreciate everything that you do for us at Stealth Products. And again, I look forward to seeing what the future is going to bring in some of these designs and experiences that we have.
Thanks, Gabe. I appreciate it. I look forward to it.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.